What is up, everybody? We are back for another episode of Palm City Chucks. We've got more football. I'm
Yes.
not excited to talk about a lot of it. I'm going to be honest. We're just going to start with that. There is not a lot of excitement going on coming into this week's episodes from me. Um, with that, we're going to start with one of the worst things to happen, and that's Ohio State winning an Addy.
Yeah.
That is disgusting. We talked about it the previous weeks. Felt like it was going to happen. I felt like I could say I knew it was going to happen,
Yeah.
and it did. And it's disgusting. Ohio State, disgusting. They turned it on at the right time. It's one of the classics. Were they the best team during the regular season? Absolutely not. Were they the best team during the playoffs? Absolutely.
Yeah.
They turned it on when it mattered, and that's all that matters. They took home the college football playoff trophy first time in the 12-team format.
Yeah.
Really hate that Ohio State also gets to claim that. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just so many negatives about them winning this game. I could
Yeah.
go on
Because
for an
they
entire
they had the
episode.
first four team, right? I'm
First
pretty
four,
sure,
first four.
like the first four team playoff.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure
yeah.
they did.
I don't even want to think about it, to be honest. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't
We don't
want
have
to
to
think
go there,
that.
but
Yeah.
yeah, they got this
Probably.
one, which is
Yeah.
already annoying enough.
Like just such a disgusting, disgusting team, fan base, all of it. Blah. uh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, how'd this game go, though? How did it really play out? I mean, Ohio State struggled in the first quarter. They could not get any offense going. Notre Dame actually scored first, got on the board, go up 7-0. And then we hit the second quarter, and a flip switched.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, to
Ohio
Notre
State.
Dame's credit, I mean, they killed the first quarter. That was an
Oh, yeah.
18 play drive to start the game and ended up with 7. Like, that's
Took 10
exactly what
minutes
you
off the
want to
clock.
do. Yeah, eat the clock, keep your defense off the field so Ohio State can't score. Like, they were doing it exactly the right way. But we all know about the first drive. That's game script and all that. And I do think Notre Dame has a good coach. And, he doctored up that drive and it worked out for him. A lot of quarterback runs. That was the one concern with that, too, because that's like,
It
if that's
was.
all a team's doing, you can pretty easily stop that. And it kind of felt that way. Like once the second drive started for them and all that, it was just like Ohio State was like, we're going to make them throw then, which is not his strong suit. And the other thing is Ohio State was scoring at will. So, it was becoming a shootout in a hurry, and Notre Dame was not built for that. Even Kirk said that, which I thought was so funny because it's like you're calling a national championship game. You want to keep the fans invested, but he said it, and I
Yep.
believed him, and, I thought the same thing. This was not Notre Dame's game. They do not want to
Nope.
play first to 35 or whatever. But, yeah, it did not work out for them. That was not the way they were going to win that game.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 7-0 start for Notre Dame, and I think it played a 31-0 run for Ohio State after that. I think they went up 31 to
Yeah,
7,
pretty
21 in the
sure.
second quarter, and then the first 10 of the third.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds
it's
right.
crazy. Um, as you said, once that second quarter hit, Notre Dame never had a chance again. You can argue late game, they were making a push, sure. In my opinion, Ohio State stopped really trying about halfway through the third when they went up 31-7. They knew the game was wrapped.
Right.
And sure, Notre Dame brought it close, but I never really thought it was a real threat. One thing I would like to discuss, you did bring up Marcus Freeman there, and I agree, generally a good coach.
Yeah.
I think he made a terrible, terrible decision late game.
Oh, yeah, going for the field goal.
Why are you kicking that field goal?
Yeah.
Make a two-score game with, 5 minutes left? You really think you're going to get the ball back twice?
Yeah.
And need to score 2 touchdowns. It was going from 16 to 13. It wasn't like it was going from 13 to 10 and you're making it a little easier on yourself where it's touchdown
Right.
field goal.
Yeah,
Sure,
you needed
maybe I
2
can reason with
touchdowns.
that. Like, you're keeping it at 2 touchdowns. You
Yeah.
really think, with how this game is played out, you're about to drive the field twice,
Yeah.
let alone get the ball the second time?
Yeah, and
Absolutely not.
you can't defend that decision at all either because it was like a 4th and 9 from the 9. It was a 4th and goal
Yeah,
from the 9.
exactly.
You're not talking 4th and 20. It's like, okay, might as well take the 3.
Like at
But
that
it's
point,
like you
you're
go for
already
that.
exactly at that point you're already making the decision to trust in your defense because, like I said, two-score game. Go for it on 4th down. Give them terrible field position if you don't get it, and
Mhm.
trust your defense to make that stop. And you get it maybe then at your own 40. So good field for you as well. You just start over. You
Yep.
have to go for that. That
Yeah.
was
Those are
that was such a
no-brainers.
baby move. Like, what are we doing there? And then on top of it, he missed it.
Yeah.
Bricked it off the post.
Yeah. That's
Why couldn't he
karma
do that
for you.
against Penn State? By the way,
Right. Yeah.
'cause that
And this is
that was closer.
and that's a kicker who struggled all year too. And then against
Yep.
Penn State, not to bring it up too much, don't want to pour salt in the wound, but yeah. I mean, he struggled all season, and then first few rounds of playoffs, the guy can't miss. Then you're in the national championship, and you have, what is that, a 27-yard field goal, 28-yard field goal, and you miss it. Like, come on.
Can't be doing that. And I felt bad for the kid because they showed him on the sideline afterwards, and he was clearly not very happy with himself, stressed out, and
Yeah.
he should have never even been in that position to go and kick that field goal. So I feel for him a
probably-
little bit there. I mean, you got to put it through once you're given the opportunity,
Right.
but it had no difference in the
I
outcome
wonder
of the
if,
game. It
if
just
Buddy was even warming up on the sideline because it made no
Probably
sense
not.
for him to kick a field goal.
yeah.
He probably went
Like-
in there cold, and yeah, I don't know.
The only bright side, bright spot, I guess I'll say, is Ohio State's losing a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure they're going to put a lot of money into their NIL fund to go try and replace all of them, but one can hope they're not going to be able to replace everything.
Yeah.
So hopefully both their backs leaves, quarterback should leave, lose quite a bit of the defense. So I hope they have to rebuild for even just 1 year's fine. I'll take 1
Oh,
year.
yeah. You get an off year from them? Sure. I mean, and that's the thing with this NIL. Like, it's so new. Teams need chemistry. Like, you need to build chemistry. You got to have each other's back. Like, you got to have that camaraderie. And are you going to be able to buy that? I don't know. So I think that's gonna be pretty telling in the years to come. But yeah, we'll see. I would definitely be okay with a down year from them.
Before we move on to the NFL, it's a bit of an off-the-wall question. Very early prediction for the college football playoff winner next year. You had to
Oh,
pick right
jeez.
now. I know, it's tough.
Yeah, that's so tough. I don't even know. I don't know much of the teams, if like who's coming back and whatnot. I do know Penn State has a lot coming back. So yeah, I mean, but
But
still
remember,
Franklin,
when they
so-
play a big game, it's
Yeah,
over. So
exactly. Yeah, I'm not picking them, but yeah, I don't. That's really tough. I
I'll
want to
give you
like
some time to
default
think.
pick a juggernaut, like just
I'm
Georgia's
gonna
gonna
give you some
bounce
time to
back,
think.
like something like that. But yeah,
I'm
I'll
gonna
stew
go
on it.
Texas. I'm gonna go Texas.
Manning.
I'll tell you why. Arch Manning.
Yeah.
I believe in the kid. And it's not like it's going to be his first reps, right? He started for Quinn a few games at the beginning of this year, I believe, when Quinn was out hurt.
Yeah.
Got in a few series throughout the year. He is a Manning, and Texas is on the up and up. So I think they've got a chance to make a run, but also I was going back and forth between them and Georgia because the Georgia bounce back just makes so much sense. It really
Yeah.
does make so much sense. 2 down years, they're getting rid of the dead weight in Carson Beck.
Yes.
Maybe that's a little harsh on Carson Beck, but he was terrible this year.
Yeah, I think it's fair,
absolutely awful.
unfortunately, for Mr.
Yeah.
Carson. But yeah,
We'll see what he goes and does in the ACC, a much easier conference, and if he's still terrible, well, then I won't feel at all horrible about saying that. But yeah, so I got Texas. Really early pick. We'll see what pans out there because their defense was a really big part
It was.
of this year, and I agree. Well, I'll admit I'm unsure exactly who on the defense comes back, but team projection, a lot better at the quarterback position, in my opinion. I think Quinn is a little bit overrated. I don't think he actually did that well for them. So I think Manning might be a pretty sizable improvement at the quarterback position, and you and I have reiterated over and over again just how important that is for a football team.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like that pick. Definitely possible. Regardless, it's coming back to the SEC, baby.
we'll see. We'll see about that, bud. Come on. Big Ten reigns supreme for the 24-25 season. I would like to see it continue in the 25-26 season. Time will tell, sir. Time will
Hey,
tell.
I just love good football. I'm glad we're getting to this point, honestly, where it's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
close. Regardless of which side you fall on, good football is all I want. So hopefully the other conferences can do the same. I mean, I don't see it, but yeah, I mean,
I don't either.
maybe in a handful of years it gets that way,
I mean,
but I don't
the
know.
thing is, look at the NFL draft, right? And talent drop off is crazy after, like, I don't know, third round is
Yeah, that's
when you
typically
start
what
trying
I
to pick
say.
diamonds in the rough. And there certainly are some in there, don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
they're not higher than that because they didn't, like, go insane in college. So they weren't that player in college. So if you think about that, that's less than 100 players playing at an NFL talent level. Most of that is already concentrated in the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yep.
How much more high level talent is there to go around to spread to the other conferences?
Yeah.
I think the good conference limit, when I say good conference, like really good conference limit, probably is about 2. I don't know that there's enough talent in college to make 3 full conferences really
Yeah.
compete
Especially
over and
since
over.
like they're catering to that formula, like with the new additions to the Big Ten and the SEC. That's like
Yep.
what they want. They want 2 juggernauts, and what they
Exactly.
want is usually what they get. But yeah, I agree. There's the one thing I will say is I think with every year it seems there's more and more talent out there, like in any sport for that matter. I just feel like athletes nowadays are nuts. But yeah, you're gonna need a shit ton of talent for it to carry over
Yep.
into a third or fourth conference.
Absolutely, absolutely. And last thing I'll say on college before we move on is just to confirm for everybody out there, I didn't feel an ounce of happiness when Ohio State won because the Big Ten won the national championship. Just to make that clear, there was not an ounce of my being that was satisfied because the Big Ten won.
Well,
Not
you
one
had to
bit.
be at least a little bit happy that that guy got to keep his dick. That's all I'm saying. And for the
Okay,
fans
that
out
guy-
there, if you didn't know, there's a guy who made a bet saying if Notre Dame wins it all, and this was weeks and weeks ago before the playoffs even, but he made a bet if Notre Dame wins it all, he will cut off his dick. And yeah, it got dicey for the guy. He was sweating
And
it
he
out.
was gonna follow through too.
He-
Just to
yes.
throw that out there. Respect to this guy. He wrote up a whole post that was like, "I've talked to my wife about this.
Yep.
She's on board. Just says we need to have kids first,
Right.
and then you can go do it." Like he mapped this out. He was
Yeah.
going to follow.
Yeah.
Respect.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he said
respect.
if they win, I'm gonna do it. Just give me a few
Yeah.
years because
Yeah.
I have some prior obligations that I already made with my wife. And
Imagine following that storyline, bro. Because so
Yeah.
many college football fans absolutely would be checking in, and they're like, "Dude, when you popping out kid number 2? When's this happening?"
oh, I said it throughout the game because I'm no fan of either team. Honestly, I wasn't gonna be happy either way. But I like Notre Dame a little more than Ohio State. But as the game started and it was pretty quickly clear that Ohio State was going to win this thing, I just kept telling myself that at least the buddy gets to keep his dick.
That's true. I guess that's one way to see past Ohio State winning maybe a little bit. I still struggle with that, but it's a little bit of a upside, maybe. But with that, let's move on to the NFL. We had the divisional round this past weekend. 4 games. We were down to 8 teams. Which one you want to start with, sir?
Let's start in the AFC. Save our boyos for last. But yeah, let's go Texans Chiefs, I should say. A lot of controversy here. A lot of questionable calls that went the Chiefs' way. I was surprised, honestly. Even with how this year played out and there was just numerous things involving the refs and not, but ended up falling the Chiefs' way. They squeaked by with many wins this year. And when the playoffs started, I wasn't sure if it was going to keep that, path. And it certainly seems it did. Mahomes got numerous calls that, I don't think any other quarterback gets. And you would even see in the other divisional round games, quarterbacks weren't getting those calls. And yeah, they went his way. Definitely helped the team. I will say I don't know that it definitely got them from a loss to a win. But yeah,
I would
either
agree with
way,
that.
just disgusting to see that, he was getting those calls. But yeah,
I
like I
will.
said, I don't know that it decided the game. But yeah, either way, Chiefs moving on. And for the record, that score was 23-14.
Yeah, one thing I will say about this is I won't disagree generally that Patty gets more calls, superstar treatment, obviously. I think that's undeniably true. But I think something people overlook when talking about it a bit is Patty is also, in my opinion, the best quarterback at knowing how to draw penalties.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind
The out of
specifically,
bounds one.
that one,
Ridiculous.
that's a
He
different one. But
he pumped the brakes like before he went out so they would touch him, and then they touch him like that and he flies like he got drilled. But sorry, I thought that's where you were going. I got excited, but that one
no. I mean,
fired
that's
me up.
a fair shout as well. But the one I saw the most uproar about was the one where he took off, slid. The Texans defenders
Yeah, they
like kind of
sandwiched
grazed
over
him, but more so hit each other. And in my opinion, I'm still throwing that flag. I gotta be honest. I'm still
Really?
throwing that flag. I do. I mean, he slid. They were both definitively late, in my opinion, trying to
Really?
go and tackle him after he slid. I really think so. So whether or not they made solid contact or not, they made contact, and in my opinion, went in late. So I don't. I think that's
Yeah,
just
that's
Patty
where-
being smart, which is maybe not the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
But
Well, and that's what annoyed me with him too, because they even asked him like in his press conference about that, and he was just saying like, we just want to play the game the way it's meant to be played and all this and that. But it's like, dude, you pumping the brakes by the sideline. It's not playing the game the way it's meant to be played. You were running out of bounds. Run out of bounds. Don't just stop on a dime to generate a call. And then as for the play you're referencing, I think he slid way too late. Like, how are you
I
supposed
don't
to stop
disagree.
your momentum when you're booking at a guy going? I mean, you know how these athletes are. They're flying 20 miles an hour out there.
I see what you're saying, and I agree that he did go down late, but there was still those players still didn't launch themselves yet when he started to go down. In my opinion, they had every opportunity to change the trajectory of their takeoff, like dive over top of him, whatever. I think they had
Yeah, I could see
opportunities
that.
to do that, and instead, Patty's helmet here, their helmets collide like right above that. And they had every opportunity, in my opinion, to make it look much better and not get the flag thrown. So I don't necessarily have a gripe with the refs throwing the flag there. Like I said, is that really in the spirit of the game, Patty? Probably not. But some of these, I think, are a little overblown, and we just bring them up now because Patty does get favorable calls. I think some of them are reasonable, and we put them under a microscope.
Well, and I think it's also kind of what we were just saying. The man is fishing for them. Like, you don't see that really at event. Like, this isn't the NBA. You're not drawing fouls for free throws. Like, guys aren't doing that, and he is. And I think that's part of it too. Like, technically, like, it can be a foul, some of these, but it's totally his doing, him generating the foul. And that's where I think people have a problem with it. This isn't basketball. This is football. This is a physical sport. If you're asking for it, you should get it. And, I think even Aikman said during that game pretty much that. Like, you can't be toying around with these defenders that expect to not get clobbered.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, then he gets clobbered and then the foul is drawn. And if I'm Andy Reid, I'm telling him not to do this shit. Like, I don't even care that it's playoffs. You're Patrick Mahomes. We need you healthy. You can't keep toying around with these guys, and one of them's going to take your frickin' head off. Like, you can't be doing that. You're Patrick Mahomes. You're the most valuable player in the league.
No, 100%. 100%. It's definitely not smart by him. He shouldn't be taking these hits. Like,
No.
there is no need for that. But
No. And we kind of said that, too. The outcome of the game wasn't necessarily decided by these plays. So why are you putting your body on the line like that? I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. Anyways, Chiefs won, as expected. Going to the AFC chip, as expected.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the team they're going to play. Now, this Bills-Ravens game, And a 27-25 Ravens. Bills. Excuse me.
Yeah, Bills.
Excuse me. But it was a crazy game. It was a crazy game. I thought this one was very exciting. And I'd like to start with getting your take on, do you believe that this game hurt Lamar's playoff legacy more? I'll start with my take here on this game specifically. So I would say in the past, I agree, Lamar has performed like crap in the playoffs. He has not been good. And in this game, early on, had the interception, had the fumble trying to make something happen. Yep. Sure, you don't want those to happen. But something I think we fail to keep in mind here is, at this point in the season, both teams are really good, right? So you're looking at an offensive guy, the quarterback, who has the ball in his hands every single play and has 1 or 2 turnovers. At what point is that acceptable? Because flip side, if you're looking at a defense that doesn't force any turnovers, you're calling them crap. So like where is the happy medium, right?
Yeah.
So, and Lamar did a great job bouncing back from that and giving them a chance to get back in this game. He was a huge catalyst for them.
Yeah.
And I can see the argument that, the early turnovers put them in that position. I'm not sure I completely buy that personally. So I think my overall take and point I'm getting to here is, this sucked for the Ravens and it was another loss for Lamar. But personally for me, if I'm trying to argue that Lamar is a bad playoff performer, I'm not pointing to this game. I don't think this one makes that argument any stronger, because I thought overall Lamar played pretty well. Turnovers are unfortunate, but like I said, at what point is it acceptable when you still do the job the rest of the game? Because the defense's entire job is to take the ball away from you. So where's the happy medium there?
I think a big part of it too is guys at his level, we almost demand perfection. And you said it very well. They're this far, divisional round of playoffs. You're playing a really good team in the Bills. You can't really expect perfection from the guy. But what you can expect is effort. And he showed that. Like you said, he had
Absolutely.
2 rough turnovers early, and he kept his team in it. And you could argue the defense played a role in that too, not really letting up points off these turnovers, or not letting it get out of hand anyway. And Lamar played his ass off still. I agree. I would not chalk this up as a game, hey, this guy can't play in the playoffs. Clearly he can. He played really well. 2 bad plays. Pretty much that was it. It's not like he was missing throws all game and then one just ended up in the defense's lap. Like, he played good football and, had his team there with a chance to tie it. And, Mark Andrews, of all people, drops the 2-point conversion. And that is not on Lamar. He got his team in it. That should have went to overtime. And who knows what happens at that point. If they then win that game, are we talking about how Lamar sucked in this playoff game? Absolutely not.
That was my main, because I was arguing with somebody about this quite often this week. They were saying, it pushes that narrative. Lamar sucks in the playoffs. I was like, it really doesn't. And like the main reason, not just everything I just talked through there, is if Mark Andrews catches that 2-point conversion and they go to overtime, even if they lose there, that's just a playoff game that went to overtime. You are never pointing to this game as one that's like, oh yeah, Lamar sucks in the playoffs. So you're telling me that one play is your decider in using this to push that narrative? Come on now. Yeah. Mark Andrews, I do feel quite bad for, because he is so sure-handed. And then on the previous, I think their previous drive, maybe 2 before, he also had that fumble.
Yes.
So that was just a really rough ending for him. I don't know. Same thing with Lamar. I don't think you can put it all on Mark Andrews, but those were 2 very unfortunate missed time plays late in the game. 2-point conversion one was really rough. Could have been a slightly better throw, but it was at your waist level. You got to catch that. You got to grab that.
Yeah, I wonder, because there was a similar play, and we'll talk about it, but in the Rams-Eagles game, but guys are trying to catch it and pull it in and, score. They're worried about where they are on the field. I think he didn't know if he just caught it and fell on his ass, it's a touchdown. I think he thought he had to turn and reach or do something after the fact. So when he didn't catch it clean initially, he went for that pull in, and that's where he lost it. His head was turning to see how far he was from the end zone. And yeah, it's playoffs. The pressure every play is way bigger than it would be normally, and they're trying to do the most for their team to win. And that goes for the people out there saying it's rigged. Like I saw so many comments on that play, like
Yeah.
he threw the game, like all this and that, and that's just ridiculous. And yeah, I just hated that.
If the game was rigged, it would have never came to that point. Let's be
Right.
clear.
Yeah, that's a great point too. If they're rigging a game, they're not making it that close.
Yeah, like it's gonna be
A
like
little
10
safety
points.
net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like 10 points. It's nothing too inconspicuous. It's not a blowout, but it's also not gonna be wow. One play could literally screw us over.
Yeah.
Come on now, people. Let's think a little bit critically about this.
Yeah. Did you see the Bills fans donating to his charity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bills
I thought
fans
was
do that
really
pretty
cool.
often. The
I
Bills
saw
fan
that.
base is
Yeah.
a great fan base. They are
They
a
are. Yeah, Bills
fantastic
Mafia.
fan base. Credit to them.
Yeah.
Honestly. So I'm
But that
happy
was
for them.
cool.
And we didn't even address the Bills here, but I mean, they
Yeah,
played
that's
really
true.
well. Like Josh Allen looked pretty good. As you said, they did slow down a little bit when the Ravens tried to catch up starting in the second half. But
Yeah.
I mean, overall, they look like a very solid team right now. And if Josh
Yeah.
Allen is cooking, they've got a chance in any game.
Yeah.
Any game.
And I will say too, and we saw this with the other games too, and like we were just saying, you can't expect perfection out of these guys in playoffs against really good teams. But the teams that didn't turn the ball over won their games. And, turnovers are a huge thing in playoffs, and I think that was the difference here. I mean, even with the Ravens having, 3 turnovers, and they're that close, if the Bills turned it over even once, the Ravens are probably winning that game. So
Probably.
yeah, and we just saw that throughout the games. Got to protect the ball. But yeah, to that point that I made earlier, you still can't expect perfection out of these guys. But if they
Yep.
give it, you better frickin' win the game because you're definitely supposed to when you get it.
Oh yeah, and I'd say it goes like if you get perfection, then they're like, damn, this guy performed really well in the playoffs, but I don't think perfection should be our baseline, and I think
Yeah.
unfortunately it is for a lot
Yeah.
of fans
for
out
those
there.
for those 3 AFC quarterbacks, definitely.
Yeah.
Lamar, Josh, and Patrick. Perfection is expected. But yeah, that's
true.
unfortunate for them.
Yep. Let's move on to the NFC. We will start with Commanders Lions as the Lions lost that game. We'll give you the chance to talk about the winning Eagles afterwards. I have a lot of thoughts. Unfortunate. Just unfortunate, but I've talked about it on the pod the past few weeks. I can't say I'm overly surprised. People are wanting to point this loss to Jared Goff. Sure, 3 interceptions, not ideal. But I think something people are failing to consider here is Jared Goff went into this game knowing he had to go crazy because our defense was not going to stop anybody. We were already without like 7 starters coming into the game. Then like the first series, we go ahead and lose Amik Robertson, another corner to a broken arm. Later in the game, we lose Brian Branch. Add that to the list.
Yeah.
We made, like, my point here being Jared Goff is catching a lot of crap, and I think he turned the ball over the way he did because he was trying to take some chances and make some things happen because he knew they needed to win that game because the defense could not stop anybody. Defense made 2 stops that game. The first possession of Washington of each half. The first one being on a 4th and 1, got to stop there, and the second being the first possession for Washington out of the half. So right when you had time to plan everything.
Yeah.
Plan everything.
Yeah, that's pretty
Anything
telling.
outside of that, they scored every single time.
Yep.
So for me, this game comes down to the defense. No matter what way you spin it, we could not stop the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
And it is as simple as that, in my opinion, honestly. Would it be nice if Jared Goff didn't have all those turnovers? Sure. But again, I just come back to the defense. You can't make 2 stops an entire playoff game and expect to win.
Yeah, 100%.
It really doesn't matter.
And I mean, you scored 31 points.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Still
enough to
put up
win a
31.
game.
Exactly.
With turnovers
Exactly.
or without. I mean, that's enough to get the job done, or it should be. And yeah, it's very unfortunate the way the Lions season ended. And, you know, we talked about it during the regular season. We kind of see this coming just because the defense was that banged up. I mean, so many starters, so many key important players that you guys had to go without. It was a matter of time till, you know, a team did this. And to the Commanders' credit, they're playing really well. And, you know, Daniels definitely doesn't look like a rookie. He looks
Not at
like
all.
a stud. And, yeah, he had the team cooking. And, yeah, you ran into a hot team with a dismantled defense. So, yeah, it's really not that surprising after the fact. But
and one thing I'd like to add here is I've had a few people tell me that the whole injury thing is copium because every team has injuries, and I buy that argument that every team has injuries. I get it.
Yeah,
Trust me.
Who are
However,
you talking to about sports, buddy?
yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's like, however, well, that's a fair point. People that don't know anything like you do, that's fair. This is why we do this, right?
Yeah.
I need sane people that actually understand the game. But the Lions' defensive injuries were just on a different level. It was practically an entirely different starting 11 from what we rolled out pre-Aiden Hutchinson injury. I meant to go grab stats before this. I forgot to do so I'm going to speak a little bit out of my ass, maybe. But I'm going to give this a go. So Aiden Hutchinson got hurt Week 6 against the Dallas Cowboys. Up and to that point, the Lions were, I believe, a top 10 defense in most categories. Aiden Hutchinson was leading the league in sacks. We were not allowing a lot of points. We looked like a fully transformed team. Lose Hutch, okay, that was fine. Obviously, we weren't getting as much pressure as before, but still had the backer and the secondary core to hold down the pass game, even though the quarterbacks were having more time. Yep. And then boom, Anzalone, boom, Malcolm Rodriguez, boom, Carlton Davis. Like I can keep going. Like Aleem McNeil and Amik Robertson. Like
oh, it was crazy. And really, what happened was the script flipped on the Lions because your offense was so like freaking chef's kiss.
Yeah.
You were putting up so many numbers that, teams early, by literally halftime, teams were like, okay, we have to throw the ball the rest of the game.
Yep.
What that does for a defense is, it makes your job so much easier. You just play the pass. You get your rushers in, they can pin their ears back. They're not worried about run gaps. They're just worried about getting after the quarterback. And, the same goes for the secondary. Not worried about the run at all. So that just does numbers for your defense. And I think that's why and I would even say your defense up until the Hutch injury was probably top 5.
So I was trying to speak out of my ass as little as possible. So I appreciate that coming from you.
I'll speak out of mine. I don't care.
Yeah.
But, your team was set up for success because your offense was so perfect. And when your defense got injured to the point where you were literally without 8 starters or whatever it got to, then teams were scoring on you like you were scoring on them. Yep. So then the script almost flipped, and then defenses were playing the pass, and I think that's why we saw Goff struggle too, because it's like, hey, like you said, yes, I need to do more because we know my defense is going to let up points. But also, like the Commanders' defense, they also knew that. So they're playing the pass. And they're scoring at will on your defense. So it just kind of did a full 180 on the Lions. And, yes, it's due to injury, and that is a valid excuse. Because, as I'm sure where you were going with your point there, we're not talking about missing 3 guys like most teams are without. We're talking about missing 8 starters or whatever it is.
Yep.
And then even depth guys. Like, it's not 8 injuries. Like, you lost depth guys, too.
Yeah, we had the most people on IR by a sizable margin.
Oh, it was like 15 or something, wasn't it?
I think it was 18.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's absurd.
Crazy
that's
numbers.
Unheard of. If that happens, you can use injury as an excuse, people. Especially when you see the night and day difference of how the Lions were. And I
That
think I
is
did a
my
good
main
job
argument.
explaining
Exactly.
that there.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly my point. Is you could tell the team changed once the injury started to fully hit. Like you could just see it. We mentioned it. We talked about it. I had false hope of winning just shootouts at that point. I said that plainly, definitely a few times on the show.
Yeah.
Because that's what it became. Early in the year, I was not saying that ever. But yeah, I mean, on to next year. I'm excited for it. Losing some coordinators. Ben Johnson going to the Bears, so that'll be interesting to see what our offense looks like because he was definitely a big part of what we did there. He was the mastermind with the play calling. So I'm curious if we even have trick plays. I don't know. I think the only way our offense stays like semi-similar in terms of how they operate would be promote from within. Not exactly sure who they would trust on the offensive side to do that. I don't think they'd go with Antoine Randall L quite yet. That's a wide receivers coach, but so I'm not sure
Well,
that the
one
guys
thing for sure will stay the same. You're gonna have big balls.
that
On
is
fourth downs,
damn
you're going.
sure. There is no Dan Campbell's going to be there. Then
Yeah.
on the other side of the ball, Aaron Glenn. And I just want to say I am sad about Ben Johnson leaving. I am not sad about Aaron Glenn leaving. For all the Lions fans out there, I wanted this man gone before we started this year. To his credit, when we started the year, he was proving me wrong a little bit. But then after the injuries, his main issue came right to the forefront, and that is his inability to adjust. He has a game plan, and if it doesn't work, he doesn't change it. And that is something you cannot do at the NFL level. And that is one thing, if people want to try to say about this game, why it was the Lions' fault, I might at least entertain that argument because, yeah, we came in super injured, and then we went and lost our two best secondary players left out there, Amik and Brian, as I said. And what do? Try to still blitz and make guys. We had guys in that game who played one snap prior to a divisional playoff game in the game is how hurt we were. And he still made them try and play man coverage against playoff team wide receivers because he didn't change his game plan.
Yeah. And
Get off
also,
my team. Get out of Detroit.
Yeah.
Go to New
For
York
starters,
and you're going to get fired.
Yeah. And you got to know who you're playing. Daniels is literally like second best in the league against the blitz. And I know that's crazy because he's a rookie, but I feel like that's the homework he did. Oh, he's a rookie. He's not going to be able to handle the blitz. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, typically he's correct. Rookies can't, but this, like I said earlier, this is not a rookie. And yeah.
I think he got high and mighty because it worked out in the Vikings game, and he was just like, oh, I'll just go and replicate that.
Yeah,
well, they're not the
that's
same
not
damn
Darnold.
team, dude. Like, it's
Yeah,
not the same team.
Yeah, that's not Darnold. That's a guy. It's a guy you're doing that to. Yeah, it's a shame. But yeah, I agree. I don't think you'll miss him much. But yeah, Ben Johnson, that's, I think, definitely going to hurt. I did want to ask you, did you see what Amon-Ra said to him and their little conversation?
I did not.
So Amon-Ra basically said, we're gonna kick your ass 2 times a year or something, and then Ben Johnson was like, we're gonna fuck you up 2 times a year. And then all these people are acting like this is like actual genuine beef with Ben Johnson and the Lions. And
There's
it's like,
no
dude, these are
way.
buddies.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But I wanted to get your opinion on that, but that's definitely
crazy.
mine. These are just
Yeah.
buddies,
They're
shooting the
definitely
shit
just
one last
shoot.
time.
Yeah, exactly what I was gonna say. Shooting the shit, having a little bit of fun. There is absolutely no hard feelings there.
No,
Come on
I didn't
now.
think so either. And, they're competitive too, so, it just fits.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what are your thoughts? I want to hear a little more about the Ben Johnson going there, because this is a division rival. I'm wondering
it sucks.
what you think he's going to do to the Bears. Like, is he going to elevate Caleb Williams in that offense? Or is it really, hey, they need an offensive line. They have other bigger problems outside of coaching.
They obviously have other bigger problems, and I think that's actually the thing that I'm getting to, that I'm going to get to, is I saw a lot of when Ben Johnson was likely to leave and the teams that he was interviewing with and some of the teams putting out some info, post-interview and whatnot. It seemed like Ryan Poles, I believe, that's the Bears GM. Hopefully I've got that right.
Poles,
there was some rumors that he did not want Ben Johnson to become the coach because Ben Johnson made it clear in his interview he did not want Ryan Poles to be the GM of the team that he was the head coach of. Now, if the Bears actually listen to Ben Johnson, they're on the right path. Ryan Poles needs out. He has done a terrible job there with the Bears trying to build this team through the draft. He's made some good free agency acquisitions, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, defensive line.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I agree and I don't at the same time. Like, I think they really overpaid Montez Sweat. I think he's a good player, but he got, Premier Monet, and I don't think he's all that special. I think he's a middle of the pack rusher. And then I think like DJ Moore, I think that was a good move, but at the same time they've really struggled getting him the ball and making him, put his impact on a game. But, that could be more rookie quarterback, bad O-line, all that kind of stuff, but I don't know.
if there is somebody with the offensive mind to turn the Bears around, I think it is Ben Johnson, because if they're not able to rebuild everything this offseason, which they won't be, they've got a lot of holes. That offensive line is one of them.
Yeah.
I think Ben Johnson is the guy to get creative enough to figure out a way with that line to give Caleb the time to be successful. Now, does he go nuclear in year 2 because of that? Maybe not. There's probably still some growing pains getting used to a new offense, another new coach, likely a new coordinator, the whole 9 yards. But I think he will definitely help Caleb look closer to what people expected from him out of the draft. Will he turn the Bears around completely in year 1? No. And all you Bears fans that are going to jump on the hype train again, just like you did when Caleb Williams got drafted. Okay, so I was actually in Chicago, like the week after the draft, I think. And so I talked with a lot of Bears fans, little side tangent here. There were people literally on the streets saying, we're going to go to the playoffs, Caleb Williams, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, there's no way you guys actually believe this. Like, you cannot think that you make that big of a jump this year.
Yeah. Well,
and there are going to be people that do the same.
Yeah, and they had a lot of needs for just a promising rookie quarterback to, get you to the promised land. But, I agree. I think they're going to be improved this year. But even so, maybe not playoffs, but definitely improvement. Curious to see what they do in the draft. You got to be thinking they're going to shore up that O-line. Defense, special teams, all that was solid.
Have to.
It's got to be O-line.
No, like they have to. Seriously, they should consider, if they want to make some noise, they should consider consolidating some picks or something like that to get a couple front-end linemen rather than
Oh, yeah.
one.
And I'm sure they're looking in free agency as well. And off the top of my head, I don't know the O-lineman names out there this upcoming free agency, but whoever's at the top of the line, I'm sure the Bears will give them a call.
They should call the first
they literally
five guys.
Need exactly.
Yeah.
They need all 5 spots. Their O-line was garbage. But it's exciting, and I want to see Caleb Williams with a decent O-line, even if it's middle of the pack. Because this man was tormented all year, and the coaching and all that drama as well, not good for a rookie. He definitely wants to hit the reset button going into this year.
Yeah, and I think the thing people also got to keep in mind here is they are in the NFC North, which, teetered out in the playoffs, but was the best division the entire year throughout the regular season. So he's got some tough teams to go up. You got the Lions and the Packers, who certainly will be about the same. Maybe Lions drop back a little bit, with the coordinator changes. Maybe the Packers get a little bit better with a little bit more experience. Vikings, wild card. Don't know what to think. Actually, I feel like I know what to think, but this year has to be an outlier, right? Because they're probably, whether or not you and I think it's the right move, JJ is likely to start for them next year. And I've talked with a couple Vikings fans out here, and I was like, oh, we're going to be just as good. So excited for JJ to come in. I was like, are you not, realizing that even if JJ is good, you are absolutely going to be regressing from this year. There is no not regressing off of this,
Right.
bringing
Yeah.
JJ into the team. Like, let's be clear about that. And that's if he is even good. And
Right.
I'm not
Exactly.
convinced of that yet.
Even if he's
So,
Jaden Daniels, they're not doing that.
exactly. Jaden
And
Daniels'
he's
team
not
didn't
going
go
to
and win.
be either.
Yeah,
But even if
exactly.
he is, it's not going to be that. I'm shocked by that too, because I agree. I've talked to some Viking fans. I've seen just online Viking fans, and they want JJ, and that really surprises me. Because like we talked about, I feel like that is taking a step back, and that's almost embracing not a full blown rebuild, but a year or two down and out, and then get
Yeah.
back into the mix of things. And
How
I'm
long
surprised
are
that's
the
what they want
likes
to
of
do.
Jay Jettas going to want to wait and sit around and continue to cycle
Fair point.
quarterbacks? How long is Jay Jettas going to want to do that? How long is Jordan Addison going to want to do that? How long is TJ Hawkinson going to want to do that?
Yeah.
Eventually, these guys might want to leave.
Yeah. And
That's,
even
that's all
Aaron
I'm saying.
Jones, that's like their team is so built to win now. That's why I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, even when you go like defensively, they still have like Harrison Smith. Like 3 years from
Yep.
now, Harrison Smith is in a retirement home. Like,
Van
I don't
Ginkel
know.
was
I don't
crazy
get it.
this year. Do just want to throw out there
He
on there.
was.
Van Ginkel was nuts. So respect to him. He was one of the best backers in the league this year, I thought personally.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, anyways, let's talk about your Eagles. Rams Eagles.
Yeah. So for starters, I'll say what I kind of already said. Playing clean football really helps you in the playoffs. And I feel like this was the story here. If the Eagles didn't force those, I think 3 turnovers, at least 3. I'm pretty sure it was 3. But yeah, if those didn't happen, this could have been a scarier game. I will say, feel like the snow helped us. It seemed like
Absolutely.
Stafford was definitely not able to do it, which is kind of weird with his NFC North background. Even though
Plays
he's
in the
in
dome, man.
I was just gonna say that, but away at Green Bay every year, away at Chicago every year, you got to figure some of them are falling in December. But yeah, either way, he couldn't do it in the weather, and come to find out, he had cracked ribs since like week 15 that he's been playing through, and the Eagles did a good job of getting pressure on him, and the snow definitely helped too because he's not very mobile as is. But yeah, got a few cracks on him, and yeah, he wasn't the same. And like I said, defense played really well yet again. Eagles really showing why they were the best defense statistically in the regular season, even in playoff time, which is a wonderful thing. And kind of what I said last week and the week before, I feel like this was the last time Hurts could just play a good, clean game and get away with it. I feel like against the Commanders, he's definitely going to need to do something extra. Not necessarily be Superman, but make plays. And yeah, I feel like the Eagles are just a very good team, and it's kind of what we talked about with Hurts a handful of times. He doesn't have to do anything crazy, just run the offense, be safe, and we'll win games. And I'm just afraid now. I think that time is up. He's going to have to do something special, and we'll see what we get. If we get like we got our last Super Bowl run with him, we'll be fine. But yeah, just not sure. I haven't seen that Jalen Hurts in a little bit, so we'll see what we get. But yeah, as far as the Rams go, I think the defense did it, and Hurts played safe. Saquon's a freaking monster. And it was enough to get the job
Saquon's
done.
back has to be hurting, man. His back is hurting.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's easy when you have the best O-line in football. I mean, so many of his long runs, he's untouched. It's literally a single cut, and he's gone. So,
Respectfully,
I mean, I'm sure you're saying
you
back
guys are
hurts
second
just
now.
because.
You guys are second now. That's all I'm saying. When Jason Kelsey was there, I'd give you the pass. I'd give you the first, but you're second best offensive line now.
Yeah, agree to disagree, but yeah. Either way, the man he's literally untouched. He's a juke away, and he's gone. Yes, his back may be hurting just because he's carrying us as far as productivity, but it's definitely not hurting from getting pounded because this man is going untouched on so many runs, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. I will say I kind of want to bite the bait, but every Eagle O lineman actually got at least one All-Pro vote, which I'm pretty damn sure you can't say about any other O line. And yeah, I mean, I just love the group. Eagles really hope we get it done this year because we have some tough decisions to make this off season. We got some guys we're gonna have to try and find money for to bring back. So really hoping we can get it done, but don't want to get ahead of myself. Commanders are playing really good football. Hurts is banged up. Quinyon Mitchell's banged up. They're both supposed to play, and yeah, as long as everybody's playing at the level they can play at, we should get this dub.
We'll see. I will say the way you presented that Rams-Eagles game, if I didn't know what the score of the game was, I definitely would have thought it was a blowout based on how you talked about that there. And it certainly was not that, to make it clear.
Yeah,
It ended 28-22 with the Rams every chance to go and win that game on the foul drive. And they didn't. To be clear, they did not.
No.
But
yeah,
I just want to make it clear to the audience out here, it's like it wasn't a smooth sailing game, and it did kind of sound that way coming from your mouth there. But
no, you're right.
This got fishy in the fourth quarter.
It did. And you know why? The Eagles went prevent like mad early in this game, and I don't know why. Saquon had his second long touchdown run. I think it was like 75 yards or something. And that put us up multiple scores, and there was like 6 minutes left in this game. Rams get the ball, we go prevent, in under 2 minutes. They have a touchdown drive. It was like a minute 48 or something. Immediately made this game scary. And you're right, I did kind of breeze past how, sus this game was at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, letting up that score drives me nuts. And we even talked about it when we talked college football with Ohio State, Notre Dame. Like, it may appear closer than it really was because teams are going prevent too damn early. And I don't understand it, especially in like a snow game like this. And I get it. You got to keep your corners back, got to keep your safeties back. If you slip, the game can change in a blink of an eye. But that being said, you can't let them go down the field and score in under 2 minutes. It's pretty much the same difference.
Yep.
And, that's exactly what the Eagles did. And, yeah, Rams had a chance to win this thing. Then they're cruising down our throats again. We're only up 6. And Jalen Carter saved the game. Had a huge sack, which, honestly, the Rams gift-wrapped this game
Center
for us.
turned the wrong freaking way. Come on, dude.
Well, they literally showed a statistic mid-game, and as you were watching it, it followed suit. And every team does. They double Jalen Carter. He's getting 2 O-linemen every single play, pretty much. They didn't do it 8 plays, I think it was, when they showed the stat, and he had like 4 quarterback hurries, 2 quarterback hits, and a sack. Then you go to those last 2 plays of the game, and this man is being blocked by one guy. He sacks Stafford, makes it a 4th down, and what do? They let one guy block him again. He hurries Stafford. Stafford throws it out of bounds. Nobody's got a shot. What are you doing, Rams? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, and even though the one was like a missed assignment, they were only going to have one guy on him. But it was made even worse by the fact he didn't even touch him because he turned the wrong way. You cannot be making those mistakes critically late in the fourth quarter playoff
terrible.
games. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, that's how you lose games. But yeah, you're right. Game was definitely scarier than I made it sound.
It shouldn't have been. I agree with you.
The Eagles
it's
frustrating because the
screwed
Eagles
themselves.
totally let that happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope it's just a lesson learned kind of thing. The snow definitely impacted that. Like I said, I think we were just really worried about slipping with our secondary. They're throwing it. The guy makes a good cut on a route, and Slay freaking slips out of there. Who knows what happens? But yeah, overall, I am very happy with the defense. I think the prevent, all that stuff, kind of on them, kind of not. I mean, you're letting them score at that point. It's just don't let them score in under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, end of the day, we survived. But yes, I was pulling my hair out by the end of it.
Yeah. it was a light of hope for me because I thought that game was done and dusted. To be clear, like
Oh,
I thought it
definitely.
was over.
After that
And then
Saquon run,
very
come
quick,
on, that
yeah,
should have been
no,
wrapped.
exactly. I agree. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't. And then Jake Elliott missed the extra point on that Saquon run, and I was
Yeah,
like,
another great
oh
point there,
shit,
Chuckster. What the
yeah,
hell's going on with like some of the best kickers in the league this year?
yeah,
Tucker, Elliott, I mean, both of them just really brutal years. Elliott, I will say, made his field goals, and this was a nasty snow game, but you can't miss 2 extra points in this game. I mean, you go back to that last Rams drive. If we have those 2 extra points on top of this, it's 30-22. You're immune to losing right now,
yep,
anyway. Like they
yeah,
have to
right now,
force
yeah,
overtime.
exactly,
And yeah, and something I referenced earlier and didn't actually bring up was we were talking about the Mark Andrews catch, how he's trying to
yep,
worry about turning upfield and scoring. Same thing happened with AJ Brown in this game. So frustrating in playoffs to have a touchdown just right there, and you're worried about doing too much. But yeah, I mean, if he catches that ball and just grips a ball and doesn't try and do anything spectacular, we're on the one. We're the Eagles. It's tush pushing in, baby.
yep,
And yeah, and then speaking of tush push, Lane Johnson of all people, false start on a tush push on the 1 yard line. We
yeah.
settle for 3. Like Eagles definitely hurt themselves. Hurts again didn't do anything spectacular. He had a really nice touchdown run, but I mean that was pretty much a gimme too. He's a big, strong quarterback. Like that broken tackle, I expect that of him every single time in a playoff game. But yeah, we got to stop hurting ourselves and let's do something nice this game because I feel like we might need it. Which we might as well jump to it. Eagles Commanders
Yeah.
because I keep referencing it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be the game. Eagles will be home, and yeah, as long as we just do everything we're supposed to do, take care of the ball, and maybe do a little bit extra, we should be good. Because Jaden Daniels and this Commanders team playing really hot, really inspired football, and they're not going to make it easy on us. I know that for a fact. So I don't know. I just want to see something that hurts this week. A little something
Yeah,
out of the
I'm
bubble, the safety bubble.
I am maybe a little bit out of spite because I'll just say right here, if football and I think are going to go on a little bit of break. Like we're married, we're on the verge of divorce. We need to go to
No.
therapy, I think, for a little bit. All right, so maybe a little bit of spite coming out here, but also just like college football playoff with Ohio State, I'm riding the hot hand here in the Commanders. I got to go Commanders, and I will accept that I'm wrong if Jalen Hurts does do that little something extra. Sure, that's what would, I think, give the Eagles the win here if he is capable of that.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, I
reiterated
think he
again and
needs to do
again.
it. I think we agree
I'm
there. It's time
I'm
he
not
does it.
sure that he's got it in him to do what he needs. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I could very well be wrong. It's one game. Just got to perform well in that one game.
I do want to
You
ask
know.
you, not to get ahead of ourselves, but when you say ride the hot hand like college football playoff, are you saying you think the Commanders will win it all or just this week?
We're going to start with just this week, and then we'll see how I'm feeling next. I guess not
fair.
next week, but 2 weeks after that.
Yeah.
But for this moment, I'm riding the Commanders.
Okay.
Shit, if they do win, though, depending on what kind of game we see, I don't know. That I might just have to.
Yeah.
Which would be
and it's
crazy.
It's one of those things. We talked about it too, and we didn't really talk about it in college this year because Ohio State was just very superior in both of our opinions. But when you get to the game, anything can happen, really.
Yep.
And I do believe that. But yeah, I'm definitely, if it wasn't clear, I'm riding with the birds.
Fair.
But yeah, I'm thinking Jalen's going to have to do something this week.
We shall see. We shall see. Let's go to the AFC with the Bills-Chiefs. An exciting playoff rematch here between Josh Allen and Patty Mahomes.
Yeah.
And until proven otherwise, as I've said many times before, I got to go Chiefs, especially in playoffs.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's got Patty's number in the regular season. Patty's got Josh's number when it comes to playoff time. I'm not
that.
sure that that's going to change this year.
Yeah, I don't know that I can't see that it will. I mean, I can. Josh Allen has played amazing. The Bills have a really good team, a better team overall than the Chiefs, in my opinion.
I agree.
But yeah, you said it. They just won this matchup. We've seen it, 4 or 5 times now. And yeah, the playoffs, this is where Josh Allen and the Bills go down. And yeah, until it doesn't happen, I'm rolling with it too. Also, have to pick the Chiefs because before the season even started, ladies and gentlemen, I said Eagles Chiefs. And we're down to 4 teams, and that is still an option. So I'm going to roll with it. So yeah, Eagles Chiefs, but really would like to see the Bills win this.
I like Patty a lot, and I want to be able to. I really hate Tom Brady. Great player, hate Tom Brady. I'm not alone in that feeling either. All right, and I just want one day. I like Patty a lot better, regardless. Personally, I already think that Patty is the best quarterback talent that we have ever seen, and he just needs the awards to back that up. So I don't mind him going and winning more. Helps my argument that he's better than Tom.
He's going to just become Tom. You don't see that? Then you're going to hate him.
I don't think he can
because
become
he's like
Tom
that.
for me. Because
Really?
I really don't. I really don't.
He already has for me, dude. I'm
Now,
so
the
sick
things
of
that
it.
he
I do not
does,
wanna
man,
see
are
them.
just crazy. Crazy.
They are. And he is amazingly talented. He does things Brady doesn't even dream of doing. But that being said, I just can almost never stand for a team that wins this regularly. And I want to spice it up. I think regardless of the NFC winner this week, it'll be good for the league. I mean, the Eagles, not really that much of a stranger. That we've been here twice in the past handful of years already, but Commanders haven't in so long. And yeah, I don't want the Chiefs again. If we get the Bills and either of the NFC teams, that is going to be a fun Super Bowl. And not to say it wouldn't be if the Chiefs are in. It's just I'm tired of seeing it, basically. I really am.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, we got a lot to look forward to this weekend with only 2 games, but man, I am super excited. I am tuning in for every second of both of those. You can bet on that.
Yes. And please, good weather in Philadelphia. I do not want another snow game. Absolutely
I think
not.
a snow game would play into your hand again, though. I really do.
I think it would too, but I still don't want it. It was just so stressful, and plus just the injury risk in the snow. I hate it. I hate it.
That's
hate
fair.
It, hate it.
That's fair. All right. With that, we wrap up yet another episode of Palm City Chucks. Thank you, everybody who was listening in. Please like, subscribe, throw a few comments our way. Let us know what you think and if there's anything you want us to be talking about, especially with the football season wrapping up. If there's any off-season topics you'd like to hear, please do let us know.
Yes.
See you, everybody.
Later, PCC.